Hey everybody. Well, today I'm starting a video here about one of my favorite actresses, Catherine Bach. And the other night I made up a list of all these birthdays of my favorite actors and actresses and models and sports people for the whole year. Obviously more than I can possibly do on videos, but over the time I'm gonna pick out a few of these to do here and there when it comes around. And so today I'm making this video about one of my favorite actresses, Catherine Bach. And in the background here, on the TV back there, you can probably see there is Catherine Bach from one of my favorite TV shows of all time, The Dukes of Hazzard. As I got my first exposure to her through one of my favorite TV shows as a kid, The Dukes of Hazzard, in which she played Daisy Duke in all 146 episodes of the Friday night CBS action comedy series that aired between 1979 and 1985. She was one of only 3 cast members to appear in every episode, the others being Denver Pyle, who played Uncle Jesse, and Sorrel Book, who played Boss Hogg. And I am such a big fan of the Dukes of Hazzard that I actually got the entire series of Dukes of Hazzard on DVD, which is all these volumes that I can't even show you all at one time. 7 seasons, 146 episodes right here on DVD. So you might say that I'm a little bit of a Dukes of Hazzard fanatic. So back in the day when my family and me used to watch the Dukes every week, then right after that we would watch the Tommy Hunter Show on CBC. On Friday nights, when Tommy would say at the end of every episode, "Good Lord willing, we'll see you all again next week," or something like that. I knew it was time to get ready for bed. But back to the Dukes. My brother and I, when it was almost 8 o'clock, which was the Dukes' airtime for an hour, would run down to the basement playroom and grab our toy guitars, running back upstairs to the family room in time for the Dukes' introductory theme song, which was played and sung by my all-time favorite male country singer, Waylon Jennings. My brother and I would sing along and strum our toy guitars. To be honest, in the beginning, Daisy was not my favorite Dukes character. I noticed Daisy more as a teenager and in my 20s when Dukes reruns were on the Nashville network. Originally, I was too young to care about any pretty ladies who might be on the show. I had 2 favorite characters, namely Boss Jefferson Davis Hogg and Sheriff Roscoe Purvis Coltrane. That was his middle name, Roscoe P. Coltrane. It was mentioned in one of the episodes that his middle name was Purvis, the latter of whom was played by James Best. I just loved the funny scenes between Boss and Roscoe the most of all. Bo, played by John Schneider, and Luke, played by Tom Wopat, were cool, but Boss and Roscoe were my favorites. I will say, though, the hood sliding move was pretty cool, and my brother and I and a friend from down the street named David Moulton used to pretend we were the Duke boys, using a 1970 Chevy Impala that was my dad's car. We would slide across the hood, climb in and out through the windows, and sit behind the wheel pretending it was the General Lee. Like I said, I didn't notice Daisy much until I was a teenager and the show came back in reruns. I would sit at my desk in my bedroom while doing high school and university homework, watching the Dukes on a little mini TV, which was black and white at first, then later in glorious color on a regular-sized TV. Now I was watching for Daisy to see what kind of outfit she would be wearing in that day's episode. In reruns, the show was on 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So I didn't have to wait a whole week for another episode to come on. Of course, I watched for those iconic Daisy Dukes short shorts, which showed off her magnificent long legs to great effect. But I also watched to see what color and kind of top she would be wearing. Many times they were sleeveless and showed a certain amount of cleavage, which was something that I enjoyed very much, the ball of raging hormones that I was at that time. Then there were several episodes that featured scenes that still stand out in my mind to this day. Of course, right from the very first episode, there's the scene immortalized in the show's introductory credits of Daisy standing on the highway in the red bikini trying to flag down a passing vehicle for help. There were several episodes that used a similar scene. One that stands out in particular is from the 2nd season, episode Road Pirates. A truck driver pulls over when he sees Daisy's legs sticking out from under her car on the side of a road. Of course, the truck driver is only too eager to lend a hand, but Daisy, ever virtuous, rejects his advances. Interesting bit of trivia. The truck driver was played by Salt Walther, a professional race car driver who competed in several Indy 500 races in the 1970s. That was severely burned in the 1973 Indy 500 that was notable for the crash and the death of Swede Savage, one of the drivers. And I wonder if that was the accident where he got burned in, because it was a huge fireball caused by the crash. But another memorable episode from the first season of The Dukes was called Double Sting. It's one that featured Artie Johnson of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In fame and Avery Schreiber playing bank robbers who dress up and act like Laurel and Hardy in the midst of a staged health crisis which aids the robbers. Daisy is in the bank at the time of the robbery. Bo and Luke have a near car accident with the bank robber's accomplice, played by Burton Gilliam of Blazing Saddles, interesting, which get them all in jail. The accomplice becomes ill in jail. He fakes an illness in jail, forcing the local physician to quarantine the jail with the Duke boys, Boss and Roscoe, inside. Some of the things in the Dukes make you wonder. Like the doctor who didn't exactly give the guy a very thorough examination before he went for the quarantine. But anyway, the bank becomes an easy target. Daisy flees the bank and is checking out the robber's getaway vehicle, a motorhome, when they emerge and she is forced to hide from them to evade capture. She climbs the ladder at the back and ends up on the roof as they are getting away, holding on for dear life as the vehicle speeds off to their hideout. At the hideout, Daisy is discovered, chased, and eventually captured and tied up. As the Laurel and Hardy bank robbers are chasing her, they grab at and tear some loose material from Daisy's outfit, causing a near wardrobe malfunction. Again, great stuff, I thought, as the young ball of raging hormones that I was at that time. So just a few of my own personal recollections of my favorite moments with Daisy Duke over the course of the show's run. An interesting bit of trivia regarding her wardrobe as Daisy Duke: she handmade many of the costumes herself, particularly those seen in early episodes, as I've described, including tops, the red bikini seen during the first episode, One-Armed Bandits, that was immortalized in the opening credits, and her famous Daisy Duke cut-off jeans. Now I'll go back to her real beginning. Bach was born Catherine Bachman, same last name as Randy, but not related to him, on March 1st, 1954, in Warren, Ohio, in the northeast part of the state near the border with Pennsylvania. So she just turned 72 years old 4 days ago. She is the daughter of Norma Jean Cusera, née Verdugo, an acupuncturist, and Bernard P. Bachman, a rancher. Her mother was a daughter of Antonio L. Verdugo of Bisbee, Arizona, a baker born in Mexico, while her father was of German ancestry. She was raised in Warren. Her mother, born into the Verdugo family, claimed to be descended from one of the oldest families who originally settled California. Bach has one brother, Philip Bachman. She spent some of her childhood on a ranch in South Dakota when she visited her grandparents in Faith, South Dakota. In 1970, Bach graduated from Stevens High School in Rapid City, South Dakota. She briefly majored in drama at UCLA, where she supplemented her income by making clothes for friends in theater groups. This skill would come in handy when she started on the Dukes of Hazzard. Bach's professional debut was as one of the children in a production of The Sound of Music. Bach's first screen appearance was in the Burt Lancaster murder mystery, The Midnight Man, shot in upstate South Carolina in 1973, in which she played murder victim Natalie Claiborne. Her next role was Melody, a prostitute, in the 1974 film Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, starring one of my favorite actors, Clint Eastwood, and Jeff Bridges. And that one I do have on a DVD, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. There it is, the cover. Yep, that one I have seen before. One of her early roles. So Bach heard about the audition for the Dukes of Hazzard through her husband, David Shaw, who was a stepson of Angela Lansbury. When she arrived there, she found the producers were looking for a Dolly Parton lookalike. Despite not looking like what they were searching for, she was hired on the spot. One of the earliest costume ideas from the producers was that she wear a tight white turtleneck, go-go boots, and a poodle skirt, but Bach asked if she could bring her own outfit, which was a homemade t-shirt, a pair of cut-off denim shorts, and high heels. Bach had concerns about the appropriateness of the cut-off shorts at first, saying she could not wear them in a restaurant scene. When prompted by the producers to visit a restaurant across the street, Bach found the waitresses were wearing, quote, little miniskirts that matched the tablecloths, unquote. At the suggestion of the show's producers, Bach posed as Daisy Duke for a poster, which sold 5 million copies. The poster once caused a stir when Nancy Reagan took a liking to it after Bach visited the White House with one as a gift for one of her former school teachers then working there. And I have to say that I don't have the poster. I was a big Dukes fan, but never was much for posters on a wall in my bedroom. So I never had a Daisy Duke poster, but while she was starring on The Dukes of Hazzard, her legs were insured for $1 million. In 1985, she served as the model for the figurehead for the schooner Californian. And once she got established as a star on the Dukes, Bach began to get other appearance gigs. Ones that I've seen on TV and YouTube include singing on the Nashville Palace in 1980, presenting at the Country Music Awards shows, getting dunked in the dunk tank on Battle of the Network Stars, appearing as Marcy with Susan Anton as Jill in a Lamborghini in the 1984 Hal Needham-Burt Reynolds comedy Cannonball Run 2, which I used to have on tape, on a VHS tape, but I must have taped over it, because I looked for it earlier today and couldn't find it, so I must have taped over it years ago. And also she was on 2 episodes of The Love Boat in 1980 and 83. After the Dukes ended, Bach had roles in a number of low-profile films. From 1992 to 1994, she starred in the Canadian family drama series African Skies. If I had known about this show then, I definitely would have watched it, but we weren't big Family Channel watchers. In 1997, she returned to star with her old Dukes co-stars in a TV movie, The Dukes of Hazzard Reunion. I enjoyed seeing that one very much, with Daisy making her return as a black leather-clad biker chick. Then in 2000, they reunited once again for another TV movie, The Dukes of Hazzard, Hazzard and Hollywood, in which they traveled to Hollywood to sell some musical recordings to raise money for the building of a new hospital in Hazzard County. I don't recall ever seeing that one, but it's definitely something I'll have to look into down the road. Yeah, and the first Dukes of Hazzard TV movie was the last thing that Denver Pyle, who played Uncle Jesse, ever appeared in before he passed away later that year. And, of course, Boss Hogg had already passed away earlier than that, 1994. The actor who played Boss Hogg, Sorrel Book, passed away in 1994. So they had James Best, who played Roscoe in the original series, who in the reunion movie he became the boss of Hazzard County, replacing Boss Hogg. It was Boss Roscoe. There was also an episode in the Dukes original series where Roscoe was boss for a day, too. But and then they also had, rather than having Waylon Jennings as the balladeer, the narrator of the show, they had Don Williams, another country singer from the 1970s, because I think Waylon was a little too sick at the time to be in the movie himself. So they got Don Williams there. In 2006, Bach guest starred on Monk, a show that I watched sometimes, but again, don't recall seeing her on there. And in 2010, had a small cameo in the comedy film You Again. In 2012, Bach joined the cast of CBS daytime soap opera The Young and the Restless, in the recurring role of Anita Lawson. This outdates my watching of Y&R by about 20 years. It was one of my regular after-high-school watches, back when Brenda Epperson was playing Ashley Abbott. In 2012, I was a couple of years from watching General Hospital looking for Rebecca Budig in the role of Hayden Barnes. In 2002, Bach launched a line of diamond jewelry at Debenhams, a British department store chain. Now a bit about Bach's personal life. She married David Shaw on May 15, 1976. The couple divorced on August 5, 1981. Bach married entertainment lawyer Peter Lopez on August 8, 1990. And they had 2 daughters, Sophia Isabella, born in January 1996, and Laura Esmeralda, born in October 1998. On April 30th, 2010, 60-year-old Lopez was found shot dead in an apparent suicide. Bach is Catholic, and she relied on her faith to help her get through after her husband's death. Bach has participated in many special events for Dukes fans in recent years. I saw a YouTube video of a question and answer session at one of these events, in which Tom Wopat was on stage answering questions. At the beginning of the session, Wopat said something like, "Let's get one thing out of the way right off the hop. No, I don't have Catherine Bach's phone number." Her height is 5'8", so she's pretty tall, and her trademarks are her natural brunette hair, deep sultry voice, and shapely legs. On October 30th, 2025, just last year, Bach's Dukes co-star Ben Jones, who played mechanic Cooter Davenport on the show, announced on social media that Bach was forced to cancel an appearance at Cooter's place, a museum run by Jones exhibiting Dukes memorabilia, as she had been hospitalized in Los Angeles due to an embolism that developed as a result of a recent surgery. Wopat and John Schneider posted on social media offering their thoughts and prayers as she recovered. Bach was released from the hospital a few days later and was spotted out walking her dog on November the 5th. I certainly hope she is doing well today. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little look at one of my favorite actresses of all time, Catherine Bach. And I will be making another video in a couple of days. And it's going to be one that I haven't done one before. It is going to be a Red Wing of the Day video. You'll have to tune in to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page on Saturday to find out who I've chosen for this video. Alright, so thanks for watching and listening, everybody, and be here next time, because you know what I say, I ain't even started yet. Bye now.